Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Doing my time as a conscript. A 2-week-long winter exercise in the middle of nowhere, on government-owned training ground, at least 50 kilometers to nearest house. We hiked to our new base position, set up our camp. I'm tasked to take a small group with me to scout this one dense forest area where UAV had spotted unidentified thermal activity. We put on light and warm gear and head to the dark forest. Now mind you that during wintertime here in Finland, we have like 5 hours of daylight, and the nights are pitch black, and really cold, was somewhere around -20 to -30 Celsius at the time. After hours of hiking, we informed the base that the area was free of any extraordinary activity. We decide to take a break, and I find a good spot for us to chow. I wander away from my group because my stomach is giving me some signs of an upcoming shitstorm. I find a nice spot and let it rip. As I'm leaning with my back against the pine tree fertilizing the ground, I notice how silent and eerie the dark, cold forest actually is. I finish my business and start heading back to my group. As I'm walking, I flick on my flashlight. Yay, it was an enemy territory, but no one was watching, to feel more secure and to see where I'm walking. Then I see them. Really small footprints, like those of an 8-year-old child, go across the path I came. I feel how sudden chills run along my spine. I'm 100% sure those prints were not there when I came through there the first time. Heart racing, I half run back to my group and tell them about the prints. They laugh and accuse me of trying to play a prank on them. I will forever remember the chills I got when one of the dudes said, "We know it was you running around whispering behind the trees and throwing those small sticks at us." All of my nope.jpg. They realize it wasn't me. All of their nope.jpg. We carefully checked out what kind of footprints were left at the places where my group accused me of being and harassing them. The surroundings are full of those small, child-sized footprints that were made barefooted. No one could survive running around barefooted in those conditions. We made another disturbing discovery too. There was about 30 to 40 centimeters, around 12 to 15 inches, of soft snow on the ground, but the small footprints were only 1 or 2 centimeters deep. Even a small child would leave very deep prints in snow that soft. We take our gear and start noping out of there. We don't talk, we just walk very, very fast. By now we all have attached bayonets, seemed reasonable at the time. Suddenly we hear a somewhat faint scream behind us, maybe 200 yards away. It came definitely from a human, but there was a very weird pitch to it that I've never heard before. We start running like hell and run all the way back to base camp. Still shaking from fear, I go to the command tent to report. I don't mention anything about the strange incident. The commanding officer looks at me and asks why I'm so pale. I just mumbled something and asked if the thermo image picked up anything other than us around the area. They were keeping an eye on us in case we got lost, and they were testing the equipment. "Nope, but you boys sure acted strange after that break you took." I confirm that there were no other thermal signals than those of my group and mine. No. I volunteered for camp security duty for the next few days with my group just to clear our heads. We never talked about the incident after that. I still hear that scream in my nightmares sometimes. Some scary shit, I tell you.
This happened in the 80s when I was only 14. We have about 30 miles of forest behind our home. There's an old lady that has bees. But other than that, nobody lives up there. Which, I don't hunt, but I used to wander around the woods. I liked to hike when I didn't have school. About 5 miles away from my house is a small spring and a little pond with frogs and salamanders in it. But no fish. I have my father's Remington 788 with 3 rounds in it, in case of bear or, the kinds of crazy, adventurous what-ifs 14-year-old boys have. So I'm about 5 miles away from home, getting really close to the spring. I used to walk there a lot. There's a huge boulder on the path you have to go around before you can see the water. As I'm getting close to it, I hear laughter, like young kids up at the spring. Well, screw that. This is still private property. That old lady has no relatives, and I'm going to scare these trespassers. Honestly, we didn't own that spring, but I thought we did back then. I was 14. So I get in a run planning on jumping around the rock with a gun in hand and yelling something at the kids. I turn the corner and something hits me hard, knocks me on my ass, and I'm seeing stars. I always thought that was some kind of expression. But yeah, little lights were dancing in the darkness in front of my face. As my vision starts to clear and I look up at the sky through the trees, I become incredibly aware of the fact that I'm soaking wet. My father's rifle is soaking wet, and I'm way colder than I should be. When I stand up, I am no longer by the spring, but 5 miles back at the tree line, staring at my backyard. I am cold. Back home, wet, and there is no ammunition in my gun. I got punished for dropping my dad's gun in the water, and no one believed me. I honestly hadn't thought of it much since then, until I saw this thread.
Out in the woods only about 3 miles from a relative's home. Out in the middle of nowhere, 4 other homes within 10 miles. I'm 19, so one of my good friends and one of my cousins, who I'm not really close with, go out to camp for 2 days in what is pretty much my cousin's backyard. We were asked not to have a fire, but we did anyway. Small tent, small fire. We had a pretty good first day. Unfortunately, my idiot friend had set up the tent on an anthill, and my idiot self did not notice. So late at night before we got to sleep, we had to move the tent, and it ended up about 15 feet away from the fire, which we let burn down to ashes. There's a bunch of knives, a revolver, and a .270 pump rifle between the 3 of us. We're sleeping with them. That night I heard something moving around outside near the tent. I grab the revolver and say, "If you are a bear, I'm going to shoot you in the face. If you ain't a bear, I'm going to shoot you between the legs." My voice scared off whatever it was. Back to sleep. About an hour before dawn, all 3 of us woke up to the sounds of a lot of somethings outside the tent. I stick my head out and open one eye. It's a bunch of chickens. Who has chickens out here? I think one of your neighbors lost his chickens. It's still pretty dark and there's enough fog about that I can't see the fire pit, but there are at least 20 chickens walking around our tent. That is weird. None of our neighbors have chickens. Well, at least they aren't bears. Go back to bed. So we slept for a few more hours, and when we awoke, the chickens were gone without a trace. There were chickens here this morning, right? I didn't dream that. Yeah, no, I saw them. Oh shit, guys, forget the chickens, check this out. There was another fire pit another 10 feet from ours. The fire was still smoldering. "I think I'm going home," I said, and we all went home a day early.
B13. Family owned a lot of land at the time. Parents would let me hike and wander around the majority of land by myself. Out one day hiking, carrying small .22 with 5 extra magazines that hold 10 rounds each, on the eastern part of the land. Sky was gray, but it was the middle of summer. Out wandering and get to sort of marsh-like area on land. Always sit at this small pond, but it has grown due to rain. As I walked closer to this pond, I became more lightheaded and felt uneasy. Got to the edge of the pond looking into it and couldn't see the reflection. Feel chills go down my spine as if someone dropped ice on my entire body. Hear distinct scratching noise in the distance, then laughter like sort of a middle-aged man. checking everything around me, making sure I'm not just hearing things. Hear large crunching of leaves, and it's something on two legs, and it is slowly becoming audible. In bit of confusion, my right leg slips into the pond and it's stuck in the mud, clay. Loud scratching and laughter is coming closer. Struggling to get my leg out. Look up on a small hill 30 yards from me and see something behind tree. Scared at this point, empty a whole magazine on that small tree line. The body goes into overdrive and get leg out. As I'm sprinting for my life, scared shitless. Put in a new magazine, hearing crunching of leaves and brush around me, and the laughter stops. Hear sound of someone else sprinting, and it's gaining on me. Stop and fire 3 rounds behind me. Sprint to the point in the woods where I know I'm going. Get into large field, and ran to the road, hopping a small barbed wire fence, getting all cut up. Cold chills go over me again. Run down the road until I see a local farmer's truck and flag him down. Picks me up and drives me home. Didn't tell anyone what happened and couldn't sleep that night. I don't go near that part of the land anymore, even if I'm hunting with people.
Be hunting coyotes out in a cornfields. Be hunting at night. Be hunting over gut pile of some jacklighted deer. Shoot 2 coyotes, leave them there. Half hour passes, nothing. Suddenly, silence. Complete fucking silence. No bugs, no birds, no anything. Crunch, scrape, crunch, tearing noise. What the fuck? Cloud goes over the moon. Complete darkness. Like, can't see your own hand in darkness. Moon comes back out. Something silvery, very low to ground, and about 8 feet long, gnawing on dead coyote by gut pile. Assume pair of coyotes laid down to dine. Explains the length. Night vision sucks for distance recognition. Bring rifle to shoulder. Sight approximately where a shoulder or hip would be. 243 ballistic tips, more than enough to fuck a coyote even with a hip shot. Crack. It just kinda stands up. Only gains like 6 inches in height, but can now clearly see it only has 4 legs. Eyes. Oh God, the eyes. Blood fucking red and huge. Like bigger than a coyote's entire head huge. Worked at bolt. Crack. Watch round impact in a puff of dust and hair 3 inches behind beside one eye. It just kinda saunters off like I'd hit it with a cork gun. Work the bolt faster than I've ever worked a bolt before. Crack. Bolt working. Crack. Now out of sight. Rapidly reload. Tactically myself back to truck. Grab AR, 8 mags and huge battery spotlight. Tactically my way back. 1 million candle power spotlight for the win. Blood and fur everywhere. Dead coyote is bitten clean in half. Like one bite. Fur is like fake redhead red. Like I'd shot a pipe full of cheap wigs. Notice the blood trail. Blood looks black. That ain't right, not under incandescent light. Take the Walmart receipt from pocket, dab in blood. Blood is black. Frantically shine light all over the wood line. Immediately light up the face and eyes of that thing. It's just sitting there watching. Sitting like a dog, but it's like 6 feet tall. Wait a minute, its legs weren't that long. Shine light on its chest. It's leaning on an old fence post. Like a human. Covered in that fake redhead red fur. Mag dump AR reload. It appears completely unconcerned, even though there is now black blood clearly visible on its fur. Tactically nope my way back to truck. Haul ass to town. Get to game warden. The game warden goes back out with me at first light, armed for bear. Coyotes and deer are now reduced to clean white bone. Bone still in skeleton position. No predator eats like that. No predator is that clean. Find blood and fur. Game warden takes samples in evidence bag. Go home. Be informed immediately upon returning home. DNR has already called with analysis.
I know for a fact I beat the warden back to town. DNR says it was a bobcat. My state hasn't had a confirmed bobcat sighting since the 30s. That thing was easily 20 times the size of a bobcat. Call DNR back. Get brusquely told to drop the subject. I think the government was field testing some sentient bioweapon. It absorbed at least 2 good hits from a 243, and at least 1 good hit from 5.56 Swift A-frame. Never went back to the farm after dark.
I've got one. My cousin and I were in Innawoods when I was about 10 or so. He was 9, as I recall, and after playing around at a creek about a mile away from my dad's house, divorced parents, he lived way out in the sticks, we decided to go off and explore. Several hours later, we are totally and utterly lost. No idea whatsoever where we are. Trees keep getting thicker. Brambles. I'm steadily beginning to panic. My cousin is too dumb to understand why I'm worried and keeps egging me onward. Eventually, we came out on this tiny little lake. On the far side is a rusty tin shack, and the entire thing is tightly ringed by trees. Except for one direction, about 2 o'clock to us. There's a hill. There's a small house up there. Nothing terribly deliverance, but nothing very pretty either. In front of it, graves. At least 15 or 20 headstones placed without organization about the hillside in front of them. My cousin was like, "Hey, Anon, I told you we would find the way back to my grandpa's house." My only response was to say very firmly that no, that was not his grandfather's house, and he should have noticed the graves. We nope.jpg back into the woods as quietly as we can, and just a bit before dark, we managed to get back on the trail and make it home. I still think about that place at night sometimes. I never saw anyone there, but I don't know. It was probably just some family plot, but it still gives me chills to think about.
I got one from just a couple years ago. I was still in the Army up at Fort Drum. Buds and I decided that we should go on a hike to scout out a site for a future camping trip. Finally settled on some park out of the hundreds in the Adirondacks. We drive into narrowing forest paths in 2 trucks. There's 7 of us there, and 2 of us had the smart idea to bring firearms. I neglected to bring my own, worried about local laws. So we head out on a random trail with light packs and hope for the best. After a few miles through rough and narrow forest, we come out to another vehicle path. We're lost. Figure all we have to do is follow the vehicle path to get back. We decided that we should split up. One group to go fetch the vehicles and drive around to meet the second group that will go down the path to continue scouting a site. One of the guys is an Eagle Scout, and he thinks it would be best that he be the one to go back the way we came. One other guy goes with him, but before they leave, I give them one of the 2 two-way radios I had. Eagle Scout also says that if that doesn't work, we can communicate via gunshots. He would fire off a round if he heard us lost. Other guy with gun left his in the truck. We continue on the path for a few more miles, stopping to investigate interesting things. Finally, we come to what appears to be a campsite with an outhouse and fire pit. We chill, eat snacks, and wait for the vehicles. We wait for hours and they never come. Can't get anything on the radio. The forest is thick. 2 of us decide that they should double time it back the same way we came. Just 3 of us at the site. A couple hours pass, and they don't return. Radio is still dead silent. It's like a bad horror movie. As it begins to grow dim, we finally decide that we should either keep going down the road path and hopefully meet up or go back the same way. We decide to head down the road. Unfortunately, after a couple miles, we hit a steel gate. No wonder they didn't make it here in the trucks. What now? The highest-ranking guy, a corporal, decides to take command and lead us right through the forest, hoping we end up on the trail we initially came down on so we would not have to backtrack. It was still early spring. The day was still short and we didn't have the kit to last the night. On top of that, it began to rain lightly. We trudged through the forest, crossing muddy pits and fallen trees. Worst of all, the forest seemed dead silent except for us three stomping about clumsily. Finally, a glimmer of hope. A gunshot echoes through the forest. We head in its direction and begin to pick up chatter on the radio. It's almost out of batteries. Eagle Scout quickly tells us that he had marked the path with tape. We begin looking and finally spot one. Fluorescent pink trail tape. As we move on, we start to lose radio signal. We're still lost. We follow the tape until it just seems to end in the middle of a thicket. Did they really cross through such dense wood? For another half hour, we search for the next marker and finally stumble upon it. We hear another gunshot. We head towards it. We keep this up for a good while and finally come upon the trail we originally came down on. Another 3 gunshots in rapid succession. Almost there. I'm sweaty, drenched, mud in my boots, and my Alice pack keeps getting heavier. We finally get within shouting distance and start locating our way via yelling. After a good while, the radio blazes to life with Eagle Scout jabbering away about hurrying up. Finally, we make it to the trucks, seemingly outrunning the darkness behind us. Literally, looking back at the forest behind us was like looking into an unlit room. All of us are present, thankfully. But one of the guys of the 2 that broke off to find the Eagle Scout said he saw something strange in the woods. They had apparently went out to search for us. The guy said he stumbled upon a structure with the windows broken and seemingly abandoned. It gave him the heebie-jeebies. Then he noticed figures moving about inside. Smartly, he removed his bright orange hunting beanie to continue observing. The dread that filled him became too much, and he quickly fled back to the trucks. Now, mind you, this guy is an Innawoods backcountry guy, not much touches his nerves, but according to the others, he came back white as a sheet. He couldn't seem to recall much detail about the encounter. We hop in the vehicles and get out of there. I remarked to the Eagle Scout about his genius idea to use gunshots. Then I mentioned the 3 in rapid succession. He said he never did such a thing. I'm glad we didn't get caught in those woods that night.
This isn't my story, but I want to tell it anyway. When my mother was pregnant with me in '82, her and my father went down south to live with my half-British great-grandmother. This area is all developed land now, but in '82 it was a couple small towns and a bunch of patches of forest and swamp land, a bunch of alligators. My great-grandmother lived out a very long dirt road in the middle of nowhere, with a few friends that had houses right up against hers. So it's miles of dirt road and no one else, and the 4 houses right together, and a huge swampy field surrounded by patch woodland. One grey and terrible-looking afternoon, my great-grandmother gets out her 12-gauge and sits down on the porch to watch it rain. When my mother asks her about the gun, she tells her that she is worried about lightning. They sit on the porch and talk all evening as the weather goes from grey to storming and then back to grey. Just then, there is ball lightning out in the field, and my great-grandmother starts shooting at it. Now at the time, ball lightning was considered something of an urban legend. My mother had never heard of it, let alone seen it, When she flipped out and started yelling for my great-grandmother to explain, my nanny said this: "Ball lightning. If you aren't careful, it'll come in your house." My mother thought ball lightning was some kind of magical spirit animal or something for years and years and years.
I've got a story, OP. It's the sort of thing I keep in mind whenever I hear someone talk about how certain they are about their experience and how there's no rational explanation. I was working at a YMCA summer camp as a teenager. There were enough of us that we had to take turns being counselors for the kids and being kitchen crew. At this time, I was taking a turn in the kitchen. During each session, the kids would do an overnight, a time where they spent a night under the stars with just their sleeping bags. The rest of the time, they slept in cabins. The overnight was like a break for us in the kitchen crew. All the kids and their counselors were gone hiking, so we had the camp to ourselves. Late that night, we were all going to bed in one of the cabins. Of course, we were all teens and young adults, so we stayed awake long after the generator shut off. At 9 p.m., talking and bullshitting and all that. A big topic of discussion was a girl who'd been a long-time camp counselor who died in a car crash recently. Word was, she'd last been assigned to that very cabin. Oh, spooky. Anyway, we finally shut down our flashlights and candles and went to bed. And I heard footsteps outside. Well, the crunch, crunch, crunch sound of someone walking in gravel was all around the cabins up there. No one should be up around the cabins at that time. The kids and other camp workers were gone. It's just us. So who's out there? After a few minutes of this, I ask if anyone else hears footsteps. Dead silence. Crunch, crunch, crunch. And a couple of others say we do. We're teenagers and dumbasses. And a couple of girls who are scared shitless to impress. So we do stuff like grab our flashlights and jump outside and run around the cabin trying to catch whoever's prowling and making the noise. After literally a couple of hours of this pattern, we all end up falling asleep and not making a big deal about it. Whoever it is was noisy enough to hear walking near the cabin we were in, but sneaky enough to avoid being caught when we ran outside with flashlights to try to catch. So anyway, a couple of years later, I was at home, in the city. This stuff was a memory, the kind of thing I told friends when we were sharing spooky stories. My parents left town to go to their cabin, but I had summer school in college, so I was at home. My brother was somewhere else, probably sleeping over at a friend's house, so I was alone overnight. Late at night when I finally went to bed, I heard the same fucking sound, the same crunch, crunch, crunch footsteps, like someone walking in gravel. What the fuck? Then I noticed something. I jammed my fingers into my neck and I listened for the sound. And yes, there it was. The sound of the steps was in time with my pulse. The crunch footstep was the blood rushing in my ears, only audible because of the silence of the woods or my empty house. I heard it up at camp and asked if others did, and so we all sat there silent, straining our ears. And the others heard their own pulses and thought they were footsteps too. There's no way anyone could have told any of us that night that there was a rational explanation for those footsteps. But there was, and it was in the last place we'd ever have thought to look. Keep that in mind when you hear these sorts of stories. Just because the guy telling you makes it sound like there's no way something he saw, heard, felt could have happened, it doesn't mean there's not some simple, harmless explanation for it all.
I have one from this summer. Me and my buddy, plus our girlfriends, take a camping trip out to some crown land deep Innawoods, a spot we found hunting the fall before, completely zero cell service. It's the second night, the four of us sitting around the fire, sipping beers and the like, just having a good time. Our dogs are with us, relaxed, sleeping by the fire. Everything is nice. Hear a rustling in the trees about 20 yards away. This is where it gets beyond fucked. Our dogs are usually pretty ballsy and bark at everything. I've seen his dog bark down a bear, but this time they immediately go lay down underneath my buddy's tent trailer, tails between the legs, heads down, acting very off. Buddy says, "Let's go check the woods," expecting a cougar, or possibly someone even screwing with us. Nothing prepared me for the rest of that night. I grabbed the flashlight in my SKS, he grabbed his Bolt 223, start walking towards the trees, shine the light on them. Eyes, animals are what I first thought. So I yell at the thing, "I will end your life if you don't fuck off." It just sits there, staring, almost with curiosity. Screw this, fire a round off aimed a couple yards away from it. Thing books it. Shine light on it as it's running. It's hairless, slightly humanoid, but looks as though it could have been canid as well. Large arched back with massive shoulders, stark white, running on all fours. Me and my buddy are all scared beyond at this point. Yell at the girls to get in the trailer with the dogs. We decide to be brave and make sure this thing won't venture towards us for the rest of the night. We run after it, following a game trail that went near the same direction. Run about 150 yards in when the most ear-piercing, gut-wrenching screech I have ever heard rings out to our left. Empty the mags and book shit back to camp. Me and my buddy took turns sitting in the doorway. I didn't think about it till tonight, and now I'm not sleeping. The best way I can describe it was when Professor Lupin was a werewolf in Harry Potter. Think of it like that. Be bow hunting elk in Northern California around 2006. A few miles from the road, a fairly long trek Innawoods. Finally find a clearing with a small group. I am literally sitting in a bush waiting for one to walk into my clearing. My face is painted, and I'm wearing my never-been-washed jacket. Has a fine layer of dust on it. Blends in very well. Give a few calls and a male approaches, still waiting 20 minutes for the thing to get closer. After a few moments, some guy comes out of the woodwork. Had a big gut, a white beard, and a boonie hat, and some binocs. Apparently a bird watcher all on a hunting property without a high-visibility vest or hat. What the fuck? He starts walking into my clearing, making a shrieking noise. I start making a simple bird song with my lips. He stops in his tracks and looks straight at me. I glance at the elk I've been waiting for over an hour. It's about 30 meters away, and it clearly sees the asshole and is ready to bolt. I draw and lock my compound. Has the stupidest look on his face. I take aim and hit the thing right in the lungs. Mr. Birdwatcher yells and runs, letting out the nastiest sounding fart as he stumbles. After I cleaned and loaded my kill, 9-pointer, I saw the guy at a gas station leaving in a Honda Civic, and I gave him the most autistic death glare I could come up with. He hit his gas and scraped his bumper. Fucking birdwatchers, man.
Live in a suburb with dense pockets of forest throughout. Behind the backyard is a small valley, maybe 200 meters across max. One night at maybe 1 a.m., hear screeching, howling, almost human-like animal outside. Not a lynx, coyote, dog, cat, or any other animal I can think of in the area. Take Ruger and check it out just in case. See nothing, but feel creeped out. Later, in a bed. Hear footsteps downstairs. Assume it's a family member, then remember I'm home alone. Dog has been in my room whole time. Take strobe flashlight made for blinding people, pocket knife, and Ruger. Flashlight in one pocket, knife in the other, clearing rooms with gun. Scared as shit. Get to the front door. It's wide open. I still wonder what it could have been. I know I didn't leave it open. I pull and check every door whenever I close and lock one, just like with my car. Creeps me out, man.
Out Innawoods in the middle of nowhere with a bro. Somewhere on the New Mexico-Arizona border, taking dirt-back roads through res land. 4-wheel drive into the middle of nowhere off the road to pitch camp. He has a small cot, I have a hammock. Neither of us are using a tent or anything. We make a little campfire, find a smooth rock to grill some steak on, have a few brews. Getting ready to crash, so I grab my AK. Make sure I have a loaded magazine in it, lean it against tree that my hammock is hanging from. Middle of the night, sound asleep. I wake up for some reason. It's pitch black, can't see shit. No moon, no starlight, just darkness. I adjust in my hammock a bit, close my eyes. Thump, crunch, whomp. Instantly wide awake, listening with the force of a million ears. I call out, "Hey Anon, is that you?" No response. Hear deep, heavy footsteps off to one side, then to the other side. More of them. Oh shit, I'm surrounded. Heavy breathing, right next to me. DEFCON 1. Lean out of the hammock to grab AK. Hammock rolls over, my upper body falls out and I faceplant on the ground. My legs are still tangled in the hammock. I grab my AK, rack it, fumble for my flashlight and turn it on. Staring right at me, not 5 feet away. An enormous set of eyes. A fucking cow. A big, stupid, ugly bovine. All around me, dozens of cattle. I let out my best battle scream and started waving my rifle around in the air. Still lying on the ground, feet tangled in hammock. The cows slowly waddle off. I was about 1 second away from mag dumping on some meat carrier. As for my friend, it turns out he didn't even wake up the whole time.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.